Any question regarding chapter 5? What is chapter 5 about? Sorry? Monopoly. Monopoly I already covered in one of the sessions. I'm not going to cover Monopoly. Which one you feel very hard? I asked you to ask me questions, right? This week. Next week you all prepare, and not next week. After the year-end break, prepare other questions. No question. Okay, I can cover equation in chapter 4. What equation you feel very hard? Most of them. Most are. Okay, I cover chapter 4. So
what page is that? 24, chapter 4.
Chapter 4 equations,
Chapter
2 equations. Chapter 2. Oh. I can cover chapter 2 equations. Right. Chapter 2, if you want me to cover elasticity, my else I also cover utility. Right. Utility. First of all, you need to know utility means what? Utility means what? In economics? Satisfaction. Right? In order to measure something, we need to have a unit. Does that make sense first? In order to measure your height, we have to use some unit. In order to measure length, in order to measure weight, we have to use some units. Same for satisfaction. In order to measure something, the units to measure satisfaction is UTILS. Is the unit to measure satisfaction. Right? So the main thing is, if we want to measure satisfaction, what we use in this course is the traditional approach. The traditional approach is cardinal approach. Cardinal means we can add, minus, multiply, and divide. That's why you have all this, the table stuff, then you have to draw the diagrams and stuff, right? Because we are using the cardinal approach. Cardinal approach means cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's cardinal, right? The one that you do in maths is all cardinal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 until 100, 1000, 1 million. That one is cardinal numbers, right? That's why when we measure total utility, we use numbers to represent, right? We always ask you, once you stay in a hotel, once you finish a dishes, not finish a cuisine in a restaurant, from 0 to 10, rate us, give us a review. What is that? Satisfaction. Why got numbers? Because traditional approach, cardinal approach. Rate us in terms of service, 0 to 10. In terms of the food, how much? 0 to 10. In terms of the quality, in terms of the pricing, in terms of the atmosphere, the ambience, right? Added up to 100, that is a total satisfaction. Make sense or not? Right?
But after a few times, then we get all of it.
Yeah, that one later. We just talking about total. What?
Extra
additional, I told you already last week. If you already watched some of my recording, I don't know which session. You were there, right? Extra. We talk about total first. Total utility. Problem with total utility is inaccurate. Inaccurate. Why inaccurate? Same for chapter 4 that I covered last time. Right? If you already spent 3 hours playing game, I just ask you what's the total satisfaction from 0 to 100. Very hard to calculate. 90, maybe you say 90, right? Maybe you say 80, maybe you say 70, because we never add up one by one. We never ask you like each half hour how many satisfaction you have. Like each 1 hour how many satisfaction you have, right? So it's very inaccurate, right? Makes sense. Inaccurate, because of that we have to use marginal to help us. Marginal is what? Additional. Marginal is additional. Additional one more. Right? Then we ask you like additional half hour, we ask you, right? What's your satisfaction level? It's better than after you play games for 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, right? It's always not accurate. Why? Because 0 from 100, your 90 is different from his 90. His 90 is same like his 80. So how can it be accurate? But every half hour, if we measure one time, we ask you one time, then we add up. Then become 100, it will be more accurate. That one is marginal. Additional one more, right? I also showed the session 1 before, right? Imagine this is the box, this is the box for rats, right? This is rats. You know lab rats, right? We use rat to test our vaccine and so on, right? Right? We don't inject total. Do we inject total 100 milliliter in the medicine inside the rat? Straight away? No, it will die. I just cover in macro as well. I told him. Right? Right? Then what we do? We give 1 milliliter per day to measure the effects, see whether medicine will kill the rat or not, or can kill the cells, the cancer cells inside the rat. Then only we can achieve. What's the objective in here? Maximize the amount of utility that we can derive from consuming the product, right? Maximize satisfaction, right? So total is inaccurate because we don't know, even the cancer cell already cured in the body, but it's dead already. We still know what's the maximum, still don't know what's the maximum dose that we should put, right? But else we go 1 liter, 1 liter, 1 liter slowly, 1 milliliter slowly until the cancer cell is cured and the rat is not dead. Then it's the maximum. Right? That's why we use maximum. Is marginal is more accurate. This will lead us to the formula of marginal utility. Formula of marginal utility is equals to change of total utility over change of quantity, because please write it down. Marginal is the gradient of total for whatever, regardless of whether it's micro or macro. Marginal is the gradient of total, right? Actually, this looks like what? It looks like this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Marginal is the total what?
Marginal is the gradient of total. Marginal is a slope of total. I don't know, you use gradient or slope in the maths. Just think about marginal is the gradient of total. So you don't need to remember all the formulas. If you already know marginal is the gradient of total, you just need to remember your gradient formula. Gradient formula is this. This is your gradient, right? Anyone still cannot remember your mass gradient formula except for Jeto?
Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus.
Exactly, it's the same thing. Because when we draw diagram for utility, this is utility. This is quantity we consume. This is our total utility. And what we want? We want marginal is gradient. Gradient is y2 minus y1 over q2 minus q1. So this is one way to remember the formula for marginal utility, right? And it will lead us to diminishing marginal utility, right? Diminishing marginal utility, I always tell them, get those group previously. everything will have diminishing in marginal satisfaction, right? If your father like to slap you, derive satisfaction from slapping you because you kill your father. No. You try to ask your father to slap you 999 times. See he will tire or not. He will face dissatisfaction. His limb will be painful or not. Still will be painful, so his satisfaction will go down. Even he enjoy slapping you. This is what we call law of diminishing marginal utility. Right? If you don't believe, go back and slap. Go back and ask your father to slap you. Or, right? If your dog like to eat chicken chop, we try feeding him or her, the dog, 9,000 kilos of chicken chop. Right? Every day after the 9,000 kilo meal, he will vomit. After that, he saw chicken chop, I tell you. Right? The dog will vomit. Same thing, right? Playing games. Right? You play games for 3 hours, okay, right? Last time I asked you, right? Play games for 3 hours, right? You play for 48 hours non-stop and see whether you will die or not. Your hand, your fingers will be shaking, I tell you, right? You need to sleep, right? It will lead to dissatisfaction. Finger will be ache, right? Finger pain, right? Same thing, for everything, it will lead to law of diminishing. This is law of diminishing marginal utility. Moving forward to the elasticity, the one that you are confused, elasticity is not a gradient. Write down. Elasticity formula is not a gradient formula. Right? Elasticity is not gradient. Elasticity is what? It's a measure of responsiveness. Regarding, right, of one variable with respect to another variable. Okay, with respect to another variable. Elasticity formula is like that. It's always percentage change of something or percentage change of something. You just need to remember the general form. It's just like that only. Is it different from gradient? Is it different from marginal? Look at this symbol, percentage change and this same change. Is it different? Yeah, it's different. One has percentage, one don't have. Besides percentage need one must and change. Percentage change is like that, ladies and gentlemen. Percentage change refers to y2 minus y1 over y1 times 100%. Change is what? Change refers to y2 minus y1 only. The reason some of you don't understand the equation because most of you never divide by the denominator and times 100%. So you got the wrong value. You think this one is equals to this one. Actually, no. They're unequal. Gradient is not elasticity. Elasticity is not gradient. Right? Make sure when you do elasticity, you must remember to divide by the denominator, the original value. What is this value? Nu minus O over O times 100%. Then only you check what they want to ask. Is it PED? Is it SED? Is it YED? Is it PS? Then only plot in your formula. If you can remember percentage change over percentage change, chances are you already got half right. Right? So what is the variable? Depends on which one you want to count. Are you counting PED? If PED, I write another one. PED, this one you must remember. The D is always in the numerator. not that what I say always, like if you see the D at the back, D is always in the numerator, right? If you see P in front, P is always in the, whatever letter in front, it means it is in the numerator, it's in the denominator, right? Denominator. Whatever behind the E is always the numerator. So PED, it shows that percentage change of quantity demanded is over percentage change in price. Make sense? If PES shows, you just follow lah. This one is denominator, this one is numerator.
Oh, that's the same for YED.
Almost. You see what's the difference? Actually, nothing different. The percentage is still the same, right? PS, I change the S off. S, I change it to QD, I change it to QS, right? YED, like what you asked just now, YED, because Y, this one is in where? In the denominator. So you just change it to Y law, like percentage change of QD did not change, but percentage change of Y changed. XED also almost the same. XED, because they are two goods, so they are good A and good B. It's actually a PD formula, but add A and B, right? It's just, this one is still percentage change of good A of quantity demanded of A divided by X. X, of course, you know, is another good law, cross ma. Percentage change of price of good B. It's actually a PD, but with two goods, so they're X. So these are the four formulas. Okay. For these two, positive or negative doesn't matter. But just to let you know more accurately, PED can be positive, negative. PS is always positive. Because now we talk about the gradient. Because they have positive gradient for PS, some supply is always upward sloping.
Yeah, it's fun.
Actually, for PED, it's always downward sloping, it's always negative. But we still don't care. We take absolute value because they don't represent anything. Like their meaning is just like the positive and negative in here is just like downward or upward sloping. Downward or upward sloping, doesn't matter one. Upward sloping, right? Doesn't represent anything. But in here, it matters. That's why I put red color. Positive or negative matters a lot. Because positive represent different thing. Zero represent different thing. Negative represent different thing. Okay or not? You okay? Okay. Sure. So what you want to ask about this formula?
Find out how you get this, understand how to get the formula here.
How to get to this formula?
In the sound of like the gradient of that. Yes.
So already
Yeah.
told you.
Yeah.
Right. This one PD and PS, you need to know the 5 values. 5 values. Greater than 1, between 0 and 1, right? 1, infinite, and 0. You need to know the values, what they mean, right? Greater than 1 means elastic. Between 0 and 1 means inelastic. 1 means unitary. Infinite means perfect. 0 means perfect also, but infinite means perfect elastic. 0 means perfect inelastic. Must know the value, right? For example, this is perfect. It's where PED equals to 0 or PS equals to 0, right? Let me just use epsilon. Epsilon is elasticity symbol for economics. When epsilon equals to infinite, it's perfectly elastic because if you use a line, if you think one more horizontal curve above, it looks like what? The entire looks like what letter? E. Perfect. So it's perfect elastic. When you want to draw elastic diamond curve, you must draw it looks like E. Not perfect one, because normally when we test you what? Elastic and inelastic. We never test you perfect. Right? That's why elastic, when you draw elastic, it will be looks like E1, ladies and gentlemen. You don't simply draw. Think how you should draw. This is your demand curve for elastic. If you use imaginary, it still looks like E1. Only it's not perfect E. Cannot. Okay, not. Looks like E or not? This is perfect, one is imperfect.
This elastic like
This one is
sensitive, right? Like Miss
sensitive.
sensitive.
3 words to use for elastic. Sensitive, responsiveness, very responsive, and very flexible. Can you see it not? Looks like E, right? Most of the time, we will ask you the right hand side one. It's elastic, not we don't rarely ask you perfectly elastic. Because for elastic, we can ask you other stuff. That was brilliant. 1. I there?
Not sensitive, unresponsive.
When it looks like I, right? Let me just use perfect one first. Right? If you use imaginary line, right, just ignore this axis. It looks like what? Perfectly inelastic. Right? So the elastic is equals to 0. Right? If you want to draw inelastic, same thing. You must make sure it looks like I. You don't simply draw, it looks like in between E and I. Really hard to tell. When I want to draw demand inelastic, if I put an imaginary line, it still looks like this, and just ignore the axis, right? It still looks like I. Only it's not perfect I. Can you see or not? Right? Same for supply one. Even I want to draw supply. If I draw inelastic supply, it still looks like I. If you use imaginary, this one is italic I. Right? Just ignore the axis for a while, the vertical axis here. Looks like I want to confirm. So when we ask you elastic, you draw, it looks like E. When we ask you inelastic, you draw, it looks like I. Otherwise, you should get wrong one. Because elasticity was also linked to the tax burden. The incidence of tax, the chapter 3 one. Alright? If you don't even draw correctly the elasticity, how to give you marks? Because the burden will be wrong. Your consumer burden and producer burden will be wrong. So you must make sure you draw correctly, okay? Alright? That's for elasticity. That one's for PED and PS together. Right? The last part being the positive or negative methods for YD and XCD.
What's the next thing?
What?
What's the next thing you want to tell us?
What's selecting?
What's the next thing?
That is two YD and XCD.
Oh,
YD and XCD, positive and negative methods because they represent different goods or services. Right? Represent different goods or services. What different goods? For YED, positive means what? YED plus positive means what? When income increase, demand increase. It means what? What type of good?
Inferior.
No, it's normal.
Or normal good.
Right? Negative means what? When income increase, demand decrease. Opposite direction of the arrow means negative relationship. Inferior good. Right? Inferior. Right? Zero means what? When income increase, demand remain zero. No, demand remain, not zero.
Essential good.
Yes, essentials. You must know when you need to put positive, negative, when you don't need. For PDPS, you don't need to put positive, negative. For YD, XCD, you must put because they represent different goods. All right, you look better. You look very blur. Is it okay? This one, until now, still don't understand thing one. You understand what I'm saying or not? Yeah. If you were to repeat the final exam, the same questions, can you pass? Can I? Can guess I can guess but you never study anyway, right? XCD, the last part for today. XED, yeah, XED. Also, they will have positive, negative, and zero. Positive means what? Yeah. When the price of good A increase, the demand for good B will also increase. So they represent
Complementary goods.
substitutes. Why complement? Why complement? Right? Why complement?
I thought if one of the price
Right?
substitute. Actually, it came out when I was
Yeah.
yes.
But you read wrongly, no?
Just double checking if both demand increase and company.
There's no both demand. This one is one price increase, one demand increase, not both demand increase.
Negative relationship.
This is positive relationship.
Oh shit.
Gone already, I tell you. Why substitutes? Why?
Similar.
If price of Sunway tuition fees increase,
Yeah.
you go to other uni, demand for other uni increase, What is price? What is demand? It's not two demand.
It's like Maxis and DC.
Okay. Price of Maxis increase, you switch to DC line, right? Negative, when price of A go up, demand for good B will go down. This is what? When price of computer go up, right?
Demand for
The
mouse.
demand for mouse will go down.
That's complementary.
Makes sense, They are complements. Another thing you need to take note is complements are not raw materials that produce the good. A lot of you always confuse between the ingredients to make the good and the complement. Right? I use cooking oil to fry French fries. So cooking oil is a cost of material, it's a raw material, but they're not complement. Right? For complement, I don't use the good to produce another good. I don't use mouse to produce computer. I don't use computer to produce mouse. But they're affected, so they're complement. Right? Makes sense. Sense, huh? Okay. The last one is zero. Zero is what?
Doesn't affect each other.
When price of A increase, the demand of B remain the same.
It's not affecting. Right?
No effect means what? Unrelated, right? Unrelated goods. So I repeat one more time for complements. Chicken and the oil complement. Chicken and oil is not complement because I use oil to fry chicken. Okay. Okay. Makes sense or not? Yeah, sure. But chicken and the side dish like mashed potato, they are complement. Because I don't use mashed potato to cook chicken chop. I don't use chicken chop to cook mashed potato. Okay. One is ingredient, one is the raw material, another one is complement. Okay. Hair is complement for shampoo. But we don't use shampoo to make hair. Okay. Makes sense, the head.
Very odd examples.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
But it
Okay.
makes sense, yeah.
Yes.
If no hair, you don't need to use shampoo. That's why that's the relationship of complement.
That's why more people are.
If I don't have chicken, I can still use my cooking oil to cook other stuff. That one is not complement. Okay? Okay. That's all. I need to rush to.
FED is the substitute like
You go back and watch read this whiteboard again. This whiteboard is already available in your group. It will be in your email. The link is already sent to your email like last week. Right?
actually this Friday there's no I'm going to use that time to read all the to watch all the
Yeah, same here.
the whole days. This Saturday and Sunday.